Hey guys, Zen here. Welcome back to the channel. You've been asking for quite some time. Yo, Zen, where's a tier list? The Mythical Island's been out for quite some time and you still haven't made a tier list. Well, because I really don't know how to make a tier list, first of all. And secondly, do we make it based on the entire Mythical Island? Do we base it off of only meta decks? Or do we base it off of EX Pokemon? Yep, you guessed it, we're doing the latter. But before we get started, don't forget to hit the like button, consider subscribing for more quality Pokemon Pocket. Now, I am doing this live, so I'm probably going to get ridiculed and butchered by chat. But we are only tier listing EX Pokemon because I feel very confident in doing so. And with that, we have our, 5 tiers? And we're starting off with Super Average. Now, Super Average is literally the best kind of average you can get. They're superior than all the other average EX Pokemon. Because let's be honest, every single EX Pokemon is good in its own right. Like, there's not going to be a not great EX Pokemon. We thought Arcanine wasn't great. Turned out Arcanine was just not great in average players' hands. Like these. So yeah, all EX Pokemon are really good as long as they can be piloted as such. Next, we have Above Average. This is the above average EX Pokemon that you're gonna see a lot of, honestly. Also gonna have a lot of EX Pokemon in this tier. Then we have Basically Average. These are literally basically average Pokemon. These are the most average EX Pokemon you could ever see. Then we have C tier for Certainly Average. These are certainly average EX Pokemon. There's nothing extraordinary about them. They are certainly average. And then we have the D tier. These are definitely average EX Pokemon. Almost nobody plays them because why would you play these definitely average EX Pokemon when you could play super average or above average or basically average or even certainly average? I'm geeking out. With that, let's get started with Venusaur. Venusaur EX here. One of, dare I say, basically average Pokemon. Now, the reason it's right here in basically average is because it still does what it can do, which is tank a lot of hits and deal a lot of damage with the 100 power giant bloom attack. The problem with this is there's so many other Pokemon that are just way above it in the being the average category. With the brand new Pokemon coming out in Mythical Island, like Venusaur is kind of missing in action, to be honest. But I don't think it's certainly average, and I don't think it's definitely average. I think it's basically average, to be honest. I think we could all agree on that. Now, a Pokemon that actually leveled up with Mythical Island is going to be Executor EX. I think this guy is definitely above average. That could be a new tier. That could be a tier right under above average, but also basically above average. Am I confusing you guys yet? If I am, don't forget to hit the like button. But yeah, we're gonna put Executor EX in above average A tier because this thing for 1 energy could potentially deal 80 damage and then also at the lowest end deal 40, which is kind of cracked. Like, let's not kid ourselves. That is a very strong Pokemon that could also survive Mewtwo EXs as long as they don't have Giovanni's with the 160 HP. The problem with this card is a 3 energy retreat cost, but like, just get good, right? Throw a leaf, throw a double X speeds, you're fine. It's not that much of a handicap, to be honest. Next up is Charizard. I'm gonna put this guy in above average as well. Dare I say super average? But a lot of people are going to disagree because apparently Charizard has not been winning any tournaments yet, you know, with the 2 weeks of tournaments that we've had. Well, Charizard hasn't been winning, but just like Arcanine was crushing literally everything towards the end of the quote unquote season, and we put that guy in D tier. So again, I definitely think Charizard could potentially be super average, but we're going to keep him here in above average. Arcanine is going to go above average as well. And you know what? Same as Moltres, because this is kind of a trio package here. You can't put one lower than the other. They're all going to be the same. Speaking of which, Blastoise. Blastoise, unfortunately, is still certainly average. I love this Pokemon. It's so good, but it requires you to get lucky all the time. And if you've played Pokemon Pocket long enough, you know that doesn't happen. Who are you kidding? Unless you have streamer plot armor, you're just not getting all the heads from Misty, unfortunately. So for a water type EX Pokemon, it is definitely certainly average. Now, above average, dare I say S tier. I still think Starmie is really good, especially with the 0 retreat cost and the new Vaporeon card, being able to retreat this for free and then just move the energy on Starmie to literally anything you want. I think that's pretty good. We're going to keep it there. Articuno. We're still seeing a ton of Articuno 18 trainers in tournaments and outside of tournaments. I don't know why. I don't like this thing. I think it's silly. I mean, but it's a Gamba type of game, and if you like gambling with Articuno, I guess it's basically average. Pikachu. I'm gonna say he's still super average, to be honest. I think he's better than all these other guys on here because he still does the exact same thing he did in set 1, which is piss you off. Because all he has to do is set up his bench and you can't really play the game. Now, there are new Pokemon that counter that, so we'll talk about that in a sec. But I think Pikachu EX is in a pretty good spot, and you guys can disagree with me, but it is what it is. With that, I'd also kind of put Zapdos EX here, but sometimes people play Zapdos by itself, and with that, we'll just put him in basically average. Gengar EX. Now, this is where you guys might disagree with me. I think this guy is definitely average. Unfortunately, I want him to be good. But maybe Johto. Maybe Johto's the set where we get some support for Gengar, because right now, even with the mythical slab, consistently, it just doesn't feel great. Right. If you get him online, yeah, it's great. 170 HP, phenomenal. But this thing, unfortunate series of events that led Gengar EX to definitely being average. Mewtwo EX, again, mythical slab, anybody? Hello. A Mew EX, hello. This guy's all the way up here. Excuse me, Pikachu, step aside. There's a new sheriff in town. Machamp EX, I'm not gonna lie, I think a lot of people are sleeping on this card. And because of that, I'm also gonna throw Aerodactyl EX right here. I think the combo of Aerodactyl EX and Machamp EX are so good, because if you're going first and you have Old Amber and you play Aerodactyl, they can evolve. If you're going second and you evolve your Machop into your Machoke into your Machamp, you're leveling up on curve and you have a full-on damage output of 190 altogether, right? With every single stage line. A lot of people are not going to agree with me because they're like, yo, this Pokemon never won a tournament. But like, look, Golem won a tournament, okay? Golem's not even an EX Pokemon. Golem literally beat out a bunch of other EX Pokemon. Fighting type is a very strong type. It's the only type in the game that's strong against 3 other types, being Dark, Electric, Darkness, Lightning, and Colorless. I think people are sleeping on Machamp EX and Aerodactyl EX. That's why I'm putting it in above average and not super average, because as soon as people start figuring this out, I'm sure we're going to see this win a lot of tournaments. Marowak. I feel so bad for this guy. You know what it is? Marowak is actually secretly trying to cosplay as Celebi EX and wishing that it can scale as well as Celebi can, but he just can't. The poor little guy cannot get lucky. Unfortunately, only flipping 2 coins and maybe you get heads. It is no Celebi EX. Moving on to Wigglytuff, certainly average. 100% better than Blastoise. Sorry, buddy. You're going to move a little bit to the side there. Yeah, it's still very strong, especially with the promo Jigglypuff. Putting your opponents to sleep is still a very strong status condition, considering we're still missing Burned and Confused. Like, what? Come on, guys. The devs, they promised us and we still haven't gotten anything. Lapras. Yeah, you know what? I think Marowak is better than Lapras. Lapras has 3 energy retreat cost. It's not great. It's not great. I wanted to be a Lapras EX fan so much so from the last set, right? The what's it called? Help me out here. The event, the drop event. But Lapras EX was just. He just honestly sucks, to be honest. Like, there's nothing redeeming about Lapras EX. Celebi, I'm gonna put. So this is tricky. Celebi right here. I personally think Celebi can be super average if played by a player who like a good player. However, because of the Celebi EX's ability to scale so much, you just see a frequency of so many players trying to play Celebi EX, which means sometimes bad players are going to end up playing Celebi EX. And it's not just luck. There's a little bit of strategy. Who would have thought that goes into, not giving your opponents 2 points with them KOing Celebi and you just losing the game and having the best potential to scale and deal an immense amount of damage. That's literally what makes Charizard EX so good, right? If you just play your Charizard, lose your 2 energy, and then it can't do any damage except for 60 damage the next turn, the likelihood of actually winning games goes down tremendously, right? But you have to actually know how to play a Charizard deck to maximize on its attacks to get the most out of it. Same thing goes with Celebi, right? And if we can put Charizard this high, then we can definitely put Celebi EX this high. I just think it's still a new card and a lot more players need to figure out how to play this. Speaking of figuring out how to play, if you asked me day one, I would have put Gyarados down here, but obviously Gyarados is super average. Because if you do get a good Misty with Druddigon as well, this thing is actually kind of cracked. 140 is so strong. It literally one-shots, what, 50% of the EX Pokemon on this list. Especially if you're running Greninja, Charizard EX is gone, right? Starmie, gone. Arcanine? I'm pretty sure gone, maybe, potentially. Yeah, especially if they attack next turn. Moltres, gone. Zapdos, gone. Articuno, gone. Wigglytuff, gone. Marowak, gone. Lapras, gone. Mewtwo, gone with a Giovanni. Aerodactyl, gone. Celebi, gone. And a Pikachu EX, gone. Like, this thing, once it gets online, is pretty devastating, and its effect to randomly remove an energy on the board is pretty strong as well. Mew EX, super average as well. I'm going to put this... honestly, I'm going to put this before Pikachu, after Mewtwo, because Celebi EX, because Mew EX can be put into literally any single deck in the game. Every deck, you can run a Mew EX because of the genome hacking. I think this is the best card, best EX Pokemon, let me say, that we got, that we're going to see in future sets. Regardless, we're going to get Johto set, Hoenn set, Sinnoh set. I think this Mew EX is going to be relevant for all of those sets because it's just genome hacking. It doesn't matter what the new meta is, throw in a Mew EX. If they bring out, I don't know, an Aggron EX with this amazing OP power and ability and attack, guess what? Mew EX says, I can do that too. So I think Mew EX is just going to be so good forever. Which brings us to our final EX Pokemon. Last but not least, Pidgeot EX. I love the HP. I love the attack. However, I'm going to have to put it right here after Celebi, potentially even after Starmie EX, because as long as your opponents know how to play against it, it kind of really can't do anything, right? It can counter your Pikachu EXs. It can counter Celebes. It can counter a lot, but I don't know. I think Pidgeot EX wins a lot of games, especially if your opponent doesn't know what it does or isn't expecting it or just filled up their bench and doesn't have any cards like Budding or Koga to remove their Pokemon for said Pokemon, right? Then they're kind of screwed. And then throw in the cards like Flutes and you kind of just win. So I definitely think it's above average. And with that, I think all these EX Pokemon are pretty average. And I hope you enjoyed my average tier list videos. I would love to hear your guys' comments, your average comments in the comments down below. Okay, let me stop with the average stuff. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit the like button. Consider subscribing for more quality Pokemon Pocket content. And that's going to be it for me. Have an average rest of your day. Later. What am I doing with this? A little peace sign? Peace? Oh, it's on my hat.